My father taught me all about these. This one carries gas to homes across the UK.
If you don't pay us, I will destroy this tunnel and everyone in it.
This isn't about money. It's revenge.
We're more alike than you know. Let me help you embrace who you really are.
Oh, I love your necklace. That's beautiful.
Thank you. That's funny. I put it on last minute, and I said to the people that are listening, secretly in on this conversation, I was like, "Is it too much? Is it too much?" And they're like, "I don't know. Just do it." So I was like, "Okay, let's see." First compliment. So now I know that I made the right choice.
It is. No, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. The film is great fun, great action movie. And I was just wondering what appealed to you about the role or the movie itself when it first came to you?
I think I received an email first off that just sort of said, "There's a film audition. This is who's doing it," as in, who's behind it. No one was really attached but Sam, who I love. And I thought, okay. And it seemed very action, basic action kind of film. And then when I received the script and all the different pieces of material, and then the Good Psychopath book, which is written by Andy McNab, who also wrote the book that this is based on, and who is also a psychopath, I went, oh, this is extra reading material that I wasn't expecting. Like, I wonder if, my character or someone in this is some kind of crazy, psychopath. And then in reading it and reading the material and reading the script, I was so fascinated by the psychology behind it. Just to that I myself was so uneducated and didn't realize that there's a whole spectrum of people, when it comes to sociopathy, and you can be in this part of it, or you could be the very far end where you have the Ted Bundys and the Jeffrey Dahmers and people that have impulse control and other kind of things going on. But there's also a huge amount of people on the spectrum that live normal jobs and normal lives, and they have children, they're married, and they're great to be around, like Wolfie, Andy McNab, such a lad, such a funny, great dude to be around. And I think that was what really interested me was, okay, so Sam and I both have the same sort of thing that we're coping with or dealing with or we're born with. We're on sort of opposite sides. We both think we're doing the right thing for the right reasons. And as the film plays out, you kind of, in a way, feel for both of them, and then you don't, it's hard to really dissect like who is exactly wrong and who is exactly right. It's a very gray area, even though we both do questionable things, I would say. So I was really attached and drawn to how this isn't like a normal action film, because I was having to take on board a whole different type of character.
Yeah, I think, firstly, Andy McNab is such a huge draw for me. He's such a fascinating character. And this one, I think, because it's not just a traditional action movie, there's a lot more to it. It's a real thriller. And at the center of it, you have these really kind of hard characters to work out where their loyalties lie. I think everyone here is, obviously there's good guys and bad guys, but really there's a real gray area about, who's working for who. And it's all based on authenticity. It's all based on the real life military and governmental situations we have right now. So I jumped at the chance to play Tom.
I mean, I saw that he's described, I love what Andy Serkis describes him as in the movie, but I can't say that because it's a rude word, a posh something, but also that he's a good psychopath. I mean, what did you take that to mean?
I think absolutely what it says. I think at first, I was kind of intimidated by the thought of having to get into this, but spending a lot of time with Andy and discussing and reading about it, Andy himself is a professed good psychopath, and this character is very much based on him. A lot of the dialogue, a lot of the situations are actually based on Andy and his life. So it was just a fascinating character study to watch Andy, to learn about him and to interact with him as well. To try and get some of that sort of authenticity into the movie. But yes, there's more than one, I think, in the movie. And I think the important thing is, traditionally we look at psychopaths, we think of, Hannibal Lecter, and, it's kind of these kind of crazy characters. But actually, these are all functioning psychopaths, and they have different levels of whether they are. And I think every character in this, in their own way, has a tendency towards one or the other. But really, as I said, really interesting character to study.
I mean, it's interesting. I find it really interesting, the relationship that she's got, her family relationship, that there's with Tom Wilkinson as her dad, and had the relationship with her brother. I mean, that was something you don't normally see in this kind of movie, really, do you?
No, exactly. And it was that kind, and trying to facilitate that and to depict it in the right way was why it was so great having Andy McNab obviously on set and around to ask questions for, because obviously I love my dad and my dad loves me, but he's a psychopath, we're on this spectrum, and how we show love and why we love each other and what does that actually mean, because it's not the same way that we just get a warm feeling that we just love our parents or we just love this person. It's an ends to a means or a means to an end, where it's, well, this is my daughter and I love her because she does X, Y, Z, she does this well, and that is a very different way of dissecting who means something to you in life. And it's kind of a thought process as opposed to a feeling. And then my brother obviously is not like my dad and I. And so therefore my dad sees him as a weaker individual, not special like me or like him. Whereas I still love my brother, even though I understand that he's different to me. I don't see it as the same way that my father does. But and you see that kind of play out trying to navigate a family dynamic, but you're talking about people that don't have an emotional kind of chip in their brain either.
I mean, did you get quite a lot of tips from Andy McNab? Did you talk to him quite a lot about the part?
Yeah, absolutely. We spent a long time pre-production talking to him. There was a time I was in Amsterdam working on the script for a few days with the writer, and we had some questions. We called up Andy. Andy was racing across the Brecon Beacons with a full Bergen, racing against the Royal Marines, who were like 20 years old, and he's like mid-50s or whatever. We were just chatting. He's just chatting to us, as a matter of fact. But then we spent a lot of time together, doing a lot of military stuff, a lot of military training, and then personally, one-on-one as well, just like studying him and talking to him about psychopathy and what that means. And hopefully this movie gives a little insight into, I guess into his world.
I mean, does he give you any of these, things that you hear about with the SAS of how they can kill people barely by looking at them type tips, just in case you needed them in the future?
I mean, it's in the movie, killing someone with a mobile phone. How do you do that? And Andy will tell you exactly how to do that. And he'll show you as well, which is awful. But he's just a really, it's kind of scary to be with someone who has these abilities, who has this experience, but also someone who's so charming and outgoing and open about it. Is just fascinating, and you can't help but be swept up and intrigued by his world. And I know that we worked really hard to make the movie really authentic, from the experiences to the background to the way that the military operate and the way that the government operates. This is all very true. These mercenaries, these gray areas of military and political maneuvering, and then the characters as well. Which side they fight on. It really is dictated by the game and the rules of the game.
Sam, I don't know, man. Sam is so funny. He's and people keep out. People want to ask me like, what's the weird thing about Sam, or what's this or what's that, and I'm like, guys, I'm sorry, it is so boring. He is so handsome, so charming, so beautiful, so brilliant. He's a gentleman. This is like, he's so annoyingly a perfect specimen of what a man, should be. I just love him. But the one thing was, he had no qualms about asking Andy like anything. Whereas we knew we could ask anything and we would just get the answer. There's no sugarcoating, because he doesn't see the point and doesn't read, emotions by people if they're uncomfortable or distressed or the story's a little much. We know how to pull back and go, oh, maybe that was a bit much. He doesn't. And so my questions were more about relationship. Why would you get married? And 3 times? Like, why do you need to get married if you don't feel love? And what about this? And what about that? And Sam's like, hey, how many dead bodies do you think would be over there? And he's like, oh, about 1,000. And how do you think they died? Well, best way to kill someone in the woods is with I'm like, guys, like, this is so intense. But Sam would ask all the time, like, he would literally be like, oh, how would I kill someone with this? And Andy's like, well, what you want to do is you want to go into the jugular and you want to hit the, and the trachea, and if you slip the and he's got 4 minutes, and the blood is like, and I'm just sitting there like, when's lunch? Because I'm going to need some time to recover. But yeah, Andy had some incredible stories, and it was very useful on set. Yeah.
I mean, I saw, it's a very, it looks like a very physically demanding film for you. And one thing I wanted to ask is, I remember you had, is it neck or back surgery? Mm-hmm. Was this film before that?
It was, yeah. This was filmed quite a bit before that. And but there was still like an intense amount of training, intense amount of physicality, of course, as you would have noticed. But yeah, just a blast to shoot.
I mean, do you now that you've had sort of surgery and everything, does it make you slightly more hesitant on set if you're doing action sequences, or are you just like, no, I'm fine, the doctor sorted me out, I'm good to go?
I'm pretty good to go. I'm fully healed. This is a bionic, titanium type indestructible neck that I have now. And so if anything, it's stronger than probably most people's necks. And the recovery was great, as far as I'm back to new or even better now. And I had the same surgery Charlize Theron has as well. She did the same thing on a particular project. She did something with her neck. So she has a bionic neck and she's out there doing action films nonstop and nailing it. So it's kind of just, it's part of the job. As a stunt person or someone that does a lot of your own stunts, injuries are kind of, they just come with it. They just come with it. But no, I've done action films since, and now I just listen to my body a little better. I used to be kind of quite good at going, oh, it's fine. And now I'm more likely to say, can we rehearse that again? Can we do that again? Can we just check if the ground is this? Can we, just a little more cautious, but no, I still dive in head first.
Yeah, I actually came straight from doing Bloodshot, Vin Diesel movie. So I've been doing a lot of training for that. I wanted to slim down a bit for it because I put on a lot of weight, muscle size for Bloodshot. But yeah, I mean, it's such a physical movie. And as I said, I did a lot of tactical training with shorts and longs and, pistol and rifle, how to move tactically. It was all really helpful and really sort of gets you in the mindset of working, as a sort of military operator.
Yeah. What was it like working with Ruby Rose? Because she's really, really good at the action scenes as well, isn't she? She's done quite a lot. Were you kind of maneuvering each other?
Yeah, my probably proudest part of the movie is the sort of finale with her in the forest, in the snow forest. And I think, they had this brilliant fight, and it was like, God, are we even going to be able to shoot this? The weather, it was minus 20 something and freezing cold, and we're in this huge fight in the snow, and she was brilliant. She really went for it, and it was great to have her. I think she's a great sort of counter to Tom, and exactly that's why Tom is fascinated by her, because she's like him, and she gives him this choice. I guess she shows him that he could go the other way. He could become like her and join her and use his abilities for himself, but he doesn't. He still has a bit of humanity in him.
I mean, one thing I thought, especially, with all the stuff with the Channel Tunnel, which I'm now never going on again, thanks, it's put me off.
Right.
Some people have already said Die Hard on a train.
Yeah.
So I know you always get asked the Bond question, but my question is, if it came along, would you rather do James Bond, or would you rather play John McClane if there was a Die Hard reboot? Which would be the one that would be more you?
Oh, that's interesting. I would say Tom Buckingham, but I mean, I guess Bond, he's British, and I think it's kind of in the same world, but yeah, Tom Buckingham is much more interesting.
Well, there are 3 books, so that was one of my other questions. So is there going to be another one, or if there's nothing planned yet, would you come back if there was?
Yeah, nothing planned as yet, but I know that we all had a great time on it, and hopefully people enjoy the movie. And yeah, I mean, this is really just the introduction to Tom and his world. I mean, I think by the end of the movie, obviously Tom realizes, that's what it is. That's why I'm different, So I think now he has this information, he could be even stronger and even more, I guess, even more terrifying in his own way. So it'd be good to see what happens to Tom.
I mean, do you know what happens in the other books? Sort of, did you know that going into playing him for the first time?
Yeah, I do know what happens to him, but Andy might also write more as well. So yeah, he's got some interesting ideas up his sleeve. We've kind of had sort of preliminary talks about it. So hopefully people love the movie and we can go on another adventure.
I mean, what's your a film like that? What is your favorite part of making it? Is it the stunt work, or is it the kind of more emotional scenes? What appeals to you most?
It's a good question, because I have done a lot of, action-based stuff recently in the movies, certainly, but Outlander probably calls for more emotional stuff. And I think this character is great. Firstly, we've got a character who's supposedly doesn't have emotions. He doesn't have empathy as being a psychopath, but by the end of the movie, he's a psychopath that has a feeling. He has feelings. And so that's really interesting. So I would love to see maybe Tom go somewhere else where he can't control his feelings, or he really is an infant. He's learning about himself. And I think it would be interesting to just go on that journey with him.
Well, you mentioned Outlander, and of course I've got to ask. So at the moment you're filming season 6?
We are, yes.
So how long's the Outlander going to be for people? When's production going to finish for you guys? Because you've only just started, haven't you?
We started in January, and I guess fans will have to do the maths. I can't do it off the top of my head, but yes, I guess the Outlander is going to last a little bit longer, but you could watch Men in Kilts, my other TV show I created. So that's out at the moment, and hopefully gives them at least a little slice of Scotland.
I know, but it's not actually available in the UK yet. That was the other thing I was going to ask you, if you knew who was going to have Men in Kilts here, because I've seen the sort of trailers for stars in the US, but nobody can watch it here yet. So is it coming?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. You know, we obviously, I was very, very desperate for it to be here as well. You know, I want people to be able to see our beautiful country. And yeah, I know it's in the works, and they're working on it. It's hopefully going to be here soon. So just watch this space.
I mean, is there, before we go, because I know I've only got a few seconds, is there anything you can tease about Outlander season 6? And also, me being cheeky, I saw Ron Moore has hinted there are talks about a season 7. Can you say anything? Are you allowed?
I would say you might find out something very soon.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Oh, well, thank you so much. You might. That is teasing.
Yeah, right.